In this episode, Ryan breaks down a service accommodation deal an investor has sent in. Ryan gives the investor some real advice as to whether it's a good deal or a bad deal, and he shares some insights the investor had not thought about to help the investor understand the risks about taking on a deal like this in the current climate. Remember, if you have a deal for Ryan to help you with, post it in the Facebook community group called the Property Crash Course and let Ryan show you the money. Show me the money on Wednesday. If you have a deal right now and you don't know the best way to structure it, if you post a deal in the community group on Facebook called Property Crash Course, Ryan will help you unlock hidden profits and save you from locking yourself into a loss on those bad deals that every property sourcer wants you to buy.
So first of all, everybody, welcome to this brand new show on Wednesday, every Wednesday. If you have a deal, I'm going to show you where the money is on Wednesday. So literally, if it's a good deal, I'm going to show you where the money is. If it's a bad deal that you submit, I'm going to obviously tell you it's a bad deal, and I'm going to tell you or show you how to get the hell out of that deal, okay? This is about you guys, this brand new show, posting your deals in the Facebook community. Anybody that wants to post a deal for me to look at, all you need to do is go to Facebook, groups, and then Property Crash Course, okay? Submit your deal there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Give me as much information as you can, all of the details, as much as you're willing to disclose. I don't need a full address, just parts of the postcode, just in case you're worried or you want other people to sign an NDA, to avoid all of that. Just give us the facts about the deal so we can look at the deal, where it is, how much it is, what strategy you're looking at doing, what sort of condition it's in, anything else that I need to know. The numbers, is it furnished, is it not furnished, if it's service accommodation, how many are there in the block, how many are available, how much does it cost you, what's the money going in, what have they suggested you're going to get back out. You know what a deal's supposed to be. Just give me the facts, enough information so I can look at the deal, whether it's live and you're on the show, because some people we're calling in or they're calling in live when we stream this, and then you're on the show. Other people are submitting the details to that Facebook group. And then I can jump on this and I can go through all of these deals back to back and then share the strategies with you guys. Share, the where the money is. Show you where the money is in your particular deal. And if it's a good deal, fantastic. I'll show you where the money is. If it's a bad deal, obviously you'll realize it's a bad deal and you want to get the hell out of there. Okay? So before we get into this, to look at this particular deal that you guys or you've submitted now, if you're buying a property, if you're taking an option on a property, if you're doing an assisted sale, helping a seller sell a property and you have an interest over that property, even if you're flipping properties, delaying completions using rent arbitrage, which is guaranteed rent, or you're doing service accommodation or rent-to-rent service accommodation, however you want to call it, just post your deals in the community on Facebook, Property Crash Course in the group, and then I'll help you guys, okay? Even if you don't know what the hell you're doing right now and your inbox is on fire and, every deal sourcer, which they're trying to sell you something right now that's probably not really worth doing if, they're just selling it to you. So let me show you what to look for, what to avoid, and, show you where the money is or isn't in your deal so you don't lock yourself into a loss, okay? That's what I'm here for. So let's look at this deal for you. So what we've got is, okay, what type of deal is this? I'm just looking now. So this is a rent-to-rent deal. So someone submitted a rent-to-rent deal. Okay, so it's a rent-to-rent. I'm just making some notes right now as well. It's a rent-to-rent deal. It's in North London. Okay. Not great straight away. My first gut feeling is it's not great. North London, depends whereabouts in North London it is. Oh, it's near. Okay, it's too far north out of London. It's too far north straight away. I'm not getting good vibes about this straight away. So you got a rent-to-rent deal. It's way out of North London. It's more or less Luton, you could say. It's that far out of North London. It's a brand new block of apartments. Okay, how many in the block? Let's have a look. How many in the block? Okay, there's around 50 odd units in the block. Okay, so, well, first of all, it's far out of North London. It's in a brand new block. I can imagine there's quite a few that are available now. It says there's 50 units. I would always be a little bit worried if there was that many released or they're released at the same time, because obviously you're competing with, lots of other investors. They may have sold off, for example, if there's 50, they may have sold off, well, basically there could be 10, 15, 20, all coming onto the market at the same time for landlords just renting them. Some landlords turning them into service accommodation, some up for sale all at the same time. So it depends what you want to do with it. Again, how many people or who are you competing with at the same time? So that's what I'd really be looking at. So what I can see here is the context that you've given me is brand new block, 50 units. It's rent to rent. It's North London. I can see the postcode. Okay, so half are empty in the block. Okay, half are empty in the block. That's not good. That's not a good sign. Half are already empty in the block. And the asking rent is how much? Let me write this down. So it's 1,400 a month. Okay, a month, and that's a 2-bed. 1,400 a month. That's a 2-bed. Price isn't too bad. It's brand new. Okay, it's not furnished. It's got no furniture in there. Okay, that's not great. And you want to Airbnb it, okay, and you're looking to make around £1,000 a month all year round. Okay. Now, first of all, if half are empty in a block, obviously you need to find out if the other half are on the market to rent at the same time, or will they be offering the other half of the properties to anybody, because you don't want to be competing with 3, 4, 5, 10, even 15 or 25 other service accommodation properties, or a service accommodation company comes in and then obviously takes a bulk load of these, gets a much better deal than you if they're taking 3, 5, 7, 10, 15, or all of them. And then you find the asking rent you've paid of, what is that, 1,400 a month. They may get it for something like 9, 10, or even 1,100 if they're taking them in bulk. So then, obviously, if they've got a 4, 5, £600 margin on you, or below you in that sense, they can go a lot lower with their prices. Because right now, if you're obviously looking to, launch I don't know if this is your first or if you've done many of these already. It doesn't tell me here. So let's just say this is your first serviced accommodation unit here. It's not in a great part of London, North London. It's nearly Luton. Okay. There's multiple units available in the block, or still available if only half of them are gone. So you've got competition there. You're right in the heart. Well, I say the heart of the coronavirus. It's only really just started. It's going to get obviously a lot worse before it gets any better. It's got no furniture, so you're going to have to furnish it. So let's look at that. Furnishing that, what is it? It's a 2-bed apartment, okay? That's probably going to cost you around about 2,500. So that's 2,500 for furniture straight away. You're looking to make £1,000 a month on this particular deal. Obviously, you've got the pandemic, everything that's happening. So launching a service accommodation property right now in that part of London as well it's bad timing. It's very bad timing. I mean, at best, it's very bad timing. You'll have to start with a midterm tenant. You would have to start with a midterm tenant to weather the storm. What I mean by that is you would have to start with a tenant that is going to book or, take the property from you for anything for around about 2 months. You would want maybe even 3 months so you can weather this storm. Again, nobody knows how bad it really is going to be, but I'm just, with the foresight or looking forward and, making the educated assumption that we can only be locked for so long and they will have to release everybody, and, maybe a traffic light system they're talking about to let certain people get back to work, certain people be able to travel. There is obviously going to be social distancing measures as well. But assuming that takes maybe 2 more months or even, 6 weeks or so from now, then things can start, or the economy can start moving again. It's very difficult to say it'll be back to normal. I don't know if it'll ever be back to normal, but the wheels of the economy can start turning. If you're a landlord and you don't know how to increase your rent up to 199% using Booking.com, then you're making a big mistake. Because every £1,000 of rent is now returning £3,000 every single month on Booking.com. And you never have to evict a tenant again. I'm serious. Anyways, I created an ebook. It's called The Rent Arbitrage Machine. So I can show you exactly how you can increase your rent up to 199% on your own rental properties. Just head over to theyrentanyhome.com/free book and just tell me where to send your free copy. So what you don't want to do is lock yourself into a loss now on, really, it's overpriced, to be honest, at $1,400 for a 2-bed right there. That's empty and brand new. And you're competing with lots of other landlords, investors that will be renting at the same time or offering them to rent at the same time, where there's less people moving. So just imagine it's going to drive the prices down, okay? So it's not looking great so far, this deal. There may be a few little tweaks that you can do, but it's not looking, unless it's on the numbers, it's not looking great at the moment, okay? So just looking at this, I would say you've really got, because of that, you've got to write the summer off. I would say completely write the summer off. So we're in, April now, just, all of April's gone. May will be gone, June, even if we get released and everybody's out or starting to get out in stages, June's really written off. Maybe people will be traveling again in July and August and September. So you may get a subdued summer from the property. It's not it's not walking distance to Hyde Park. So you're going to struggle with travelers. It's not in Brighton, so it's on the beach where people will be heading. So you need to be a little bit careful with this particular property, exactly where it is as well. And you would need to take a midterm tenant, to be fair, because you just can't take those risks of, one night booking here and a 2-night booking there and maybe a weekend there. It doesn't seem that desirable as to where it is, just on the outskirts of Luton, to be fair, when you keep going north out of London. So, yeah. Based on that, you're going to be putting in, let's look at some of these numbers. So based on that, so you have $2,500 for furniture to go in. You've basically written the summer off. You're going to need to put at least 1 month down. That's $1,400 there again. You obviously a deposit again. Let's just say that's $1,400 again. So you're already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're already into it for 549. Sorry. Oh, 5.3. Sorry. So basically $5,500. It's already $5,500 more or less for you to get into this particular deal. Okay. And now that's if you even break even in the first few months, which is very, very unlikely. So because of the COVID-19 and the pandemic and everything that's happening, you're basically, if you go ahead with this deal at those numbers and where it is, you're just locking yourself into a loss. So that's $5,500 there straight away, give or take. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but let's just say it's $5,500. So you'd be putting £5,500 in. If you rented that particular property right now, because of how many there can be on the market at the same time from the other investors, the other landlords, whether they're doing service accommodation or a service accommodation company comes along and obviously scoops them up at a much better deal. I mean, if that was on at $1,400 rent, I would be looking to pay for one on its own, based on where it is, which I think is a reasonable offer. I would be looking to pay on that no more than $1,100 right now. Wouldn't even entertain it. No more than $1,100. Because if you get it at $1,100 and then it's costing you, say, $1,300, $1,350 all in with all of the bills and everything else, it's a lot easier then for you to make money. Because, for example, when we're taking on midterm tenants, let's just look at it this way. So £1,400 a month. Let's say that's the market rent, okay? So someone on top of that is going to pay about $250, say, for the bills. So that works out about $16.50 for that apartment, okay?
Make sure you've subscribed, because tomorrow you'll get problems, challenges, and opportunities on Thursday. Every Thursday, Ryan takes you deep inside his business, sharing his problems, walks you through his challenges, talks about the opportunities that you only find once you've broken through the wall. That's the secret that every entrepreneur discovers, because the biggest problem in your business today usually becomes your greatest opportunity and asset tomorrow.
Now, taking a midterm tenant, we'll be looking to rent that for at least, at the absolute least, and I mean even now, $2,000 a month. So that's all in, $2,000, all of the bills included, etc., etc. Now that's if there's not 3, 4, 5, 9, 10 of these all on at the same or similar times, okay? If there is, that number, the 2,000, goes down probably closer to about 1,600, right? Somewhere around 1,600. If there's multiple of these on and you're competing with other landlords, investors, it's like a race to the bottom, whoever's prepared to accept the lowest amount. And if you want to rent it, then obviously you have to come down to the lowest possible price if there's multiple units on. So let's say the swing would be somewhere around 2,000 down to about, even 1,500. It could be as low as that because of what's happening. So if you've gone into that deal at your price at 1,400, and then you may get 2,000, but then there's lots of them on, you may have to come all the way down to, 18, 17, 16, even 1,500 to get it let. You're actually locking yourself into a loss for the first 2, 3, 4, 5 months by taking a midterm tenant just to cover the costs. You wouldn't even be covering the costs, okay? So let's just look at it another way. If you work backwards and you've got it at 1,100, 1,100, 1 per calendar month, and let's say the bills were 250 again. So you got it at 1,350 all in. That's including all of the bills. Now let's just say it is a good strategy to get it now at the right price, of course, in the right location. But to get it now, get it in the bank, get it in the portfolio, get it up and running, get it furnished, dressed, styled, and listed and advertised. Put a midterm tenant in there now just to break even or make 100 or a couple of £100 a month, because it's not the goal to make the most money out of it now. It's to get it in the portfolio, to get it up and running, to get it on the booking sites, to get bookings coming in further down the line. So you have enough time to build your listing, to build your following, to get bookings ahead. I'm talking maybe 3 months down the line. So you put the midterm tenant in there now, and you could even be very aggressively or price the property aggressively in that sense, with all of the bills included and everything else that only costs you $1,350, right? All in, because you got it at 1,100. That's the only number that would really work for me, looking at this particular property, the face of it, what you've shown me, and just having a look at the overview of this property and understanding the numbers in that city or that area. Okay, so then if you had to come down to even 1,600, if there's lots of them on, even 1,500, you would still have 150 or 250 pounds a month margin. So you're not subsidizing that property for the first 2, 3, 4 months. You're not putting money into that property for the first 2, 3, 4 months. It's not a deal that loses money and costs you money in the first, 2, 3, 4 months. So I would just be very, very careful looking at this. They would have to move on the numbers. If they couldn't move on the numbers and you couldn't rent it at a reasonable price with a midterm tenant, because that's the only way you could start, it would be a bad deal. I would definitely say it's not a good deal. So there's some things for you to think about there. Go away, look at the numbers, see how many are actually on. Find out how many have been sold to landlords, to investors. Find out how many are empty now and on the market. When you know that, and then you know the market rent, you can normally get around, in a good climate, 20 to 25, even 30% above the local market rent when you do a midterm let or a short let. I'm talking anything under 6 months. But because of the climate, you may not even be able to get that margin if there's lots of properties on the market to rent. So there's too much choice for tenants, too much choice for companies. If there is even any companies in the area, looking for properties, that's what you also need to look at. So I would just say, unless the numbers can come down to somewhere around 1,100 a month, unless you know you can get that property rented, you could even do a test campaign on the internet, take some pictures of this building, maybe take some pictures of the marketing suite or use some pictures of the marketing suite, get it posted on Gumtree as quick as possible, get it listed on the internet, get it as a midterm let for companies, corporate people, people relocating, key workers, something like that, and put it up for a minimum of 2 months. And put the rent somewhere around, the 17, 18, 1900 and just see what response you get.
Every episode, we read out the best reviews you have taken the few seconds to write for us, which we really do appreciate. This week, Entrepreneur81 said, "Amazing business podcast. Thank you so much for these episodes. They give me the inspiration I need to keep going through the difficult times we are in right now, with all the uncertainty in the world. Great work. Has the power to change lives." If you want us to read out your review on the next show, all you need to do is tell us what you think about the episode or the show by leaving us a review. We would love to hear your thoughts.
If you get lots and lots and lots of response, there's enough demand, then you can go ahead, obviously do the deal, do your own due diligence, of course, because then it starts to look like it's in an area where there's demand and the people want that particular type of property right now in that location. Then you're good. If you don't get any response or you get silly offers from people where they're saying they'll pay this much or they'll pay that much and it's way below what you even need to break even, that's going to tell you that it's a deal that you want to run as far away from this particular deal as possible and go and find something else that works. Go and find something else in a different city that works, okay? Now, some other things for you to think about is obviously the voids. You don't want to be going into this deal and carrying this particular property for even 3 weeks or a month or 6 weeks at the start. So you would need to get something lined up like back to back. So test the market as quick as you can. It costs nothing to post this property on Gumtree. It's 100% free. Test the market, use the pictures, use the marketing suite pictures if you can, or use something very similar inside if you have to make something up so it looks very similar, and then see what the market says. That will give you lots of insight into whether or not these numbers work, or you should stay as far away from this particular deal as possible. And something else I don't really know about, you haven't said here, I don't know if you're paying deal sourcer fees or if it's something that you found yourself. If you are paying deal sourcer fees, you don't really want to be giving them a couple of grand for something like this. It's not really a great deal at all. So you may have some leverage to renegotiate with those guys. I can't imagine they're selling many in that particular block or that particular location right now at this particular time. So there may be, you may be able to do a deal with them to get this, a much better rate. But if you can't, you got to factor that into your prices as well. So if you went into this deal blind and paid the full 1,400 and thought it was going to be great, you can find yourself just losing money every single month this year to the end of this year, and maybe things will come back next year. But for me, I wouldn't be starting with this particular deal, locking myself into this as a loss. I mean, unless it was an amazing price. Even 1,100 is not amazing for the climate we're in, because really it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I honestly think, hand on heart, that when we're out of the coronavirus, only then is when things are really going to start to get bad. I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but it's going to take a long time for this to filter through, a long time for the unemployment or the impact of the unemployment to filter through. There's lots of companies just disappearing, closing their doors, airlines, travel, industry, just oil prices, just these times. So I think you need to be very careful, be very selective of what you're looking at right now, and maybe just choose a better city, more central if you really need to be there. Obviously, if it's close to you, then there's different reasons, but if you don't need to be there, I would just completely forget this location altogether. Right now, in a different climate, it could work and you could add it to your portfolio, but I mean, in this climate, it's a very, very risky deal to be there, and all the logistics that go with it as well. So like I said, unless you're there locally and you want to be there, and that's your town, city, that's your area, and you're gonna manage it locally, maybe you might be happy just making a few £100 a month from this particular deal. But I don't think it's going to give you the £1,000 a month that you're looking for. So happy to obviously answer more questions and go into this in more depth. You can obviously come back to me, and we can pick up this conversation when you've got the rest of the facts and the rest of the figures, and I'll be interested to find out a bit more. We can talk this through further with yourself. Okay. So if anybody else has a deal, right now, if you don't know the best way to structure it, I mean, if you're unsure where the profit is, you want me to show you where the money is, just post that deal in the community on Facebook. It's the new Facebook group called Property Crash Course.
He's a #1 Amazon bestseller. He's an NLP manipulator. He's a property course seller. He's a Lamborghini driving multi-millionaire property guru. Forget that same old boring I am me narcissistic podcast format, because nobody gives a fuck. This podcast is all about you. So I'm taking these few seconds to thank you for subscribing, to thank you for leaving your 5-star reviews, and thank you for sharing this show with all of your friends. My team and I will keep bringing you these episodes and answering all of your burning questions in my Facebook community group called Property Crash Course. If you can just keep telling all of your friends about this show.